Most of the transport system in Ireland is in public hands, either side of the Irish border. The Irish road network has evolved separately in the two jurisdictions Ireland is divided up into, while the Irish rail network was mostly created prior to the partition of Ireland. In the Republic of Ireland, the Minister for Transport, acting through the Department of Transport, is responsible for the state's road network, rail network, public transport, airports and several other areas. Although some sections of road have been built using private-to-public-private funds, and are operated as toll roads, they are owned by the Government of Ireland. The rail network is also state-owned and operated, while the government currently still owns the main airports. Public transport is mainly in the hands of a statutory corporation, Córas Éireann, and its subsidiaries, Bus Athaclaith, Bus Éireann, and Iarnród Éireann. On the 1st of November 2005, the Irish government published the Transport 21 plan, which includes €18 billion for improved roads and €16 billion for improved rail, including the Western Railway Corridor and the Dublin Metro. In Northern Ireland, the road network and railways are in state ownership. The Department for Infrastructure is responsible for these and other areas. Two of the three main airports in Northern Ireland are privately operated and owned. The exception is City of Derry Airport, which is owned and funded by Derry City Council, a statutory corporation. The Northern Ireland Transport Holding Company operates public transport services through its three subsidiaries, Ní Railways Company Limited, Ulster Bus Limited, and City Bus Limited. Railways. Total 1,600 mm broad gauge, 1,947 km, 38 km electrified, 485 km double track, some additions and removal since 1997, 1,435 mm standard gauge, 28 km, 28 km electrified, 28 km double track. Additional track under construction, 914 mm narrow gauge, 1,365 km. Ireland's railways are in state ownership, with the Iarnród Éireann operating services in the Republic and Ní Railways operating services in Northern Ireland. The two companies cooperate in providing the joint enterprise service between Dublin and Belfast. Intercity services are provided between Dublin and the major towns and cities of the Republic, and in Ulster along the Belfast-Derry railway line. Suburban railway networks operate in Dublin, Dublin Suburban Rail, and Belfast, Belfast Suburban Rail, with limited local services being offered in, or planned for, Cork, Limerick, and Galway. The rail network in Ireland was developed by various private companies during the 19th century, with some receiving government funding. The network reached its greatest extent by 1920. A broad gauge of 1,600 mm was agreed as the standard for the island, although there were also hundreds of kilometers of 914 mm narrow gauge railways. Many lines in the West were decommissioned in the 1930s under Eamon de Valera, with a further large cull in services by both CIE and the Ulster Transport Authority during the 1960s, leaving few working lines in the northern third of the island. There is a campaign to bring some closed lines back into service, in particular the Limerick-Sligo line, to facilitate economic regeneration in the west, which has lagged behind the rest of the country. There is also a move to restore service on the Dublin to Navan line, and smaller campaigns to re-establish the rail links between Sligo and Enniskillen, Omagh, Derry and Mullingar and Athlone, Galway. Under the Irish government's Transport 21 plan, the Cork to Middleton rail link was reopened in 2009. The reopening of the Navan-Clonsilla rail link and the Western Rail Corridor are amongst future projects as part of the same plan. Public transport services in Northern Ireland are sparse in comparison with those of the rest of Ireland or Great Britain. A large railway network was severely curtailed in the 1950s and 1960s. Current services include suburban routes to Larne, Newry and Bangor, as well as services to Derry. There is also a branch from Coleraine to Portrush. Since 1984, an electrified train service run by areas.Although has linked Dublin with its coastal suburbs, running initially between Bray and Howth. The Dublin Area Rapid Transit System was extended from Bray to Greystones in 2000 and further extended from Howth Junction to Malahide. In 2004, a light rail system, Louis, was opened in Dublin serving the central and western suburbs, run by Veolia under franchise from the Railway Procurement Agency. The construction of the Lewis system caused much disruption in Dublin. Plans to construct a Dublin Metro service including underground lines were mooted in 2001, but stalled in the financial crisis at the end of the decade. Ireland has one of the largest dedicated freight railways in Europe, operated by border.The, totaling nearly 1,400 kilometers. Roads total 117,318 kilometers. South 92,500 kilometers including 1,015 kilometers of motorway. North 24,818 kilometers including 148 kilometers of motorway. Paved 87,043 kilometers. Unpaved 5,457 kilometers. Ireland's roads link Dublin with all the major cities. Driving is on the left. Signposts in the Republic of Ireland are shown in kilometers and speed limits in kilometers per hour. Distance and speed limit signs in Northern Ireland use imperial units in common with the rest of the United Kingdom. Historically, landowners developed most roads and later turnpike trusts collected tolls so that as early as 1800 Ireland had a 16,100 kilometers road network. In 2005, the Irish government launched Transport 21, a plan envisaging the investment of €34 billion in transport infrastructure from 2006 until 2015. Several road projects were progressed, but the economic crisis that began in 2008-09 has prevented its full implementation. Bus services. Ireland's first mail coach services were contracted with the government by John Anderson, with William born in 1791, who also paid to improve the condition of the roads. The system of mail coaches, carriages, and bairns was further developed by Charles B. Anconi, based in Clonmel, from 1815 as a forerunner of the modern Irish public transportation system. State-owned Bus Éireann currently provides most bus services in the Republic of Ireland outside Dublin, including an express coach network connecting most cities in Ireland, along with local bus services in the provincial cities. Bus Athaclath, a sister company of Bus Éireann, provides most of the bus services in Dublin, with some other operators providing a number of routes. These include Aircoach, a subsidiary of First Group, which provides services to Dublin Airport from Dublin City Centre, South Dublin City, Greystones and Bray. They also operate two intercity express non-stop services service between Dublin Airport, Dublin City Centre, and Cork, and also a non-stop route between Belfast City Centre, Dublin Airport and Dublin City. Other operators such as Irish CityLink and GoBus, i.e. compete on the Dublin-Galway route. Matthews Coaches run a direct service from Bettystown, Laytown and Julianstown to Dublin, whilst Dublin Coach operates services to Portlaoise and Limerick. J. Kavanagh and Sons also operates regular services on the Portlaoise-Limerick route, as well as offering services to Waterford, Carlow, Kilkenny, Clonmel and a selection of regional towns and villages in the south. Some private rural operators exist, such as Halpennies in Blackrock, County Louth, which was the first private bus operator to run a public service in Ireland. Bus Fader, which operates twice daily routes from Ranafast, County Donegal to Galway and back. In Northern Ireland, Ulster Bus provides the bus network, with its sister company Metro providing services in Belfast. Both are part of state-owned TransLink. Tiger Coaches operates a very late-night bus service on Friday and Saturday nights between Belfast and Lisburn. Private hire companies such as Areas offer groups travelling throughout Ireland with options ranging from cars to 56-passenger coaches and many run route between airports, Pavilions Shopping Centre, National Convention Centre and the O2. Cross-border services are run primarily by a partnership of Ulster Bus and Bus Éireann, with some services run across the border exclusively by one of the two companies. Aircoach, a private operator, does however operate a competing Dublin to Belfast express service via Dublin Airport. Waterways. Total 753 kilometres. Grand Canal, Royal Canal, Shannon Urn Waterway, Riverbarrow. Pipelines. Natural gas transmission network 1,795 kilometres. There is a much more extensive distribution network. Ports and harbours. Ireland has major ports in Dublin, Belfast, Cork, Rosslare, Derry and Waterford. Smaller ports exist in Arklow, Ballina, Drogheda, Dundalk, Dunleary, Foynes, Galway, Larne, Limerick, New Ross, Sligo, Warrenpoint and Wicklow. Ports in the Republic of Ireland handle 2.8 million travellers crossing the sea between Ireland and Great Britain in 2014, a decrease of 1 million passengers movements since 2003. This has been steadily dropping for a number of years, probably as a result of low-cost airlines. Ferry connections between Britain and Ireland via the Irish Sea include the routes from Fishguard and Pembroke to Rosslare, Stranraer to Belfast and Larne, and Cairnryan to Larne. The Swansea to Cork route has closed. There is also a connection between Liverpool and Belfast via the Isle of Man. The world's largest car ferry, Ulysses, is operated by Irish Ferries on the Dublin-Holyhead route. In addition, there are ferries from Rosslare and Cork to France. The vast majority of heavy goods trade is done by sea. Northern Irish ports handle 10 megatons of goods trade with Britain annually, while ports in the south handle 7.6 mt, representing 50% and 40% respectively of total trade by weight. Mercantile Marine total 35 ships or over, totaling 288,401 GRT, 383,628 tons deadweight. Registered in other countries. 18 Aviation Ireland has 5 main international airports: Dublin Airport, Belfast International Airport, Cork Airport, Shannon Airport and Ireland West Airport. Dublin Airport is the busiest of these, carrying over 22 million passengers per year. A second terminal was opened in November 2010. All provide services to Great Britain and continental Europe, while Belfast International, Dublin and Shannon also offer transatlantic services. For several decades until 2007, Shannon was a mandatory stopover for transatlantic route to the United States. In recent years it has opened a pre-screening service allowing passengers to pass through U.S. immigration services before departing from Ireland. Dublin. There are also several smaller regional airports: George Best Belfast City Airport, City of Derry Airport, Galway Airport, Kerry Airport, Sligo Airport, Waterford Airport and Donegal Airport. Scheduled services from these regional points are in the main limited to flights travelling to other parts of Ireland and to Great Britain. Airlines based in Ireland include Aer Lingus, Ryanair, Aer Arann and CityJet. Services to the Aran Islands are operated from Airfort-Nómina, Ireland's national airline. Aer Lingus provides services from Belfast City, Cork, Dublin and Shannon to Europe, North Africa and North America. Dublin and Cork airports are run by a state body, the DAA. Other Irish airlines are Ryanair, one of the largest in the world, Stobart Air, CityJet, ASL Airlines Ireland and the Aer Lingus subsidiary Aer Lingus Regional. A number of other operators specialize in general aviation. Airport passenger numbers in 2014. The passenger numbers were as follows: Gateway Irish Urban Reference Destination distances